Yesterday, Ted Cruz picked Carly Fiorina to be his vice presidential running mate if he is the guy who gets the nomination on the Republican side. It seems a bit premature to most people watching, and the actual unveiling of this news and his running mate was about as awkward as you would have imagined. Let's watch.
After a great deal of time and thought, after a great deal of consideration and prayer, I have come to the conclusion that if I am nominated to be President of the United States, that I will run on a ticket with my vice presidential nominee, Carly Fiorina. Cara Carlton Fiorina, known throughout the country simply by the name of Carly. Heidi and I have become friends with Carly. We've spent time with her on the campaign trail. We've laughed. We've watched basketball games together. We have marveled at this crazy, wild journey. And I'll tell you, our girls, Caroline and Catherine, have come to adore Carly. On the bus, on the campaign trail, Carly makes up songs and sings them to Caroline and Catherine. And our girls, mind you, they're 8 and 5, both regularly text Carly. And let me tell you, Carly may become the first vice president in history to have a very impressive fluency with heart and smiley-faced emoticons. And when you're texting with a 5-year-old girl or an 8-year-old girl, those are highly valuable.
Wow. You know what? I wasn't going to vote for Ted Cruz, but now I feel like I might re-register as a Republican and vote for him just because of the mere fact that Carly Fiorina sends creepy text messages to his underage daughters. Oh, you know, she likes to send those. That's not what he sounds like, so I'm just going to stop.
You get so worked up, just like, I hate you, that you end up saying anything, and I'm probably going to do that too. I obviously was not going to vote for him anyway, but now, like, I just want to shake him. What's wrong with you? Stop acting that way. Why can't you act like a human? Look at a human, then pretend to be the thing you see.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. Like, Donald Trump pisses me off more, but Donald Trump is human-esque. Like, what is wrong with Ted Cruz? None of the stuff he just said there is true.
Well,
she doesn't sing to his daughters. I don't think those text messages happen.
Look, honestly, I don't want any adult, especially any politician, regardless if it's a man or a woman, texting my children anything.
Why does a 4-year-old have a phone?
And also, why is this relevant to anyone, right? Like, I think this is Ted Cruz's attempt to make himself and make Carly Fiorina seem like they're personable and, gosh darn it, we're just like you, right? But you guys aren't, okay? You guys do come off as robotic. He certainly comes off as robotic in that speech. And more importantly, I don't care about Caroline and Catherine, okay? I don't care about them at all. I don't think about them. I don't care what their political ideas are. They're freaking children, okay?
Yeah. I feel sorry for them.
I do feel sorry for them. The idea of Carly Fiorina being nice to your kids doesn't make me like Carly Fiorina or hate her less.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not just that he mentioned it, but the amount that he focused on it right at the beginning. I mean, this is going to be his news for the day that he's got Carly Fiorina. And so you then have to wonder, why would he focus so much on her relationship with his kids and constantly focusing on the fact that the kids are female, then she's female? Look, why would he do that? Either he thinks that that's the way that he one-ups Trump right now, is by having a woman on the ticket, or he believes that Carly Fiorina is the right person, but most people don't have like the opinion that she's personable, that she's a normal person. And so the way that I humanize her is by cynically using my kids. It just seems bizarre. Like, he's used his kids to make him seem like a human, but to use it to make a different person, it's too weird. Everything about his campaign, it doesn't make sense. He has to be an alien in human skin.
I think that one of the worst things that politicians can do to their family members, especially their children, is get them involved in the political process, right? So I know that a lot of politicians will exploit their own kids to make themselves seem like they're, you know, family values, believers, and, you know, just family men. when you do that, you're essentially putting these minors in the public spotlight, and I don't like that. Like, I hate that. They didn't ask for that. They shouldn't be part of these conversations. We should be focusing on policy. I've said this so many times that honestly, it's cliche at this point. It kind of makes me sick. But it's true. Like, we need to hear about that. We don't need to hear about your kids and what kind of relationship they have with Carly Fiorina. Don't do that to them. And
if you're just going to try to provide information about her, maybe for people who weren't paying attention much earlier, focus on the things like Carla, Carlton, Carrutherton, Fiorina, known across the land as Carly. Is that not the most bizarre way to introduce her? Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? But anyway, look, I do think that there was some sense in him choosing her, which we will circle back around to. But before we get to that, the unveiling continued. In this video clip, you're going to see how Carly Fiorina introduces herself to the country.
But we've been traveling around the country, and I've come to know Ted and Heidi and Caroline and Catherine. I know two girls that I just adore. I'm so happy I can see them more. 'Cause we travel on the bus all day, we get to play. We get to play. I won't bore you with any more of the song. But they have 4 verses, Caroline and Catherine. Love you, girls.
She wasn't boring me. She was scaring me. That's the scariest thing. Can you imagine somebody following your kids around singing that? But anyway, that makes her personable, I suppose. Now, you might be wondering, why would he choose a person who, in the past, has had some very critical things to say of him? And, of course, she is going to be confronted with that fact and the video footage proving it. Here is an example of what she can get used to.
You, of course, were going at each other, and for a while it seemed like you were somebody that would never team with Ted Cruz. For example, listen to this.
Ted Cruz is just like any other politician. He says one thing in Manhattan, he says another thing in Iowa, he says whatever he needs to say to get elected, and then he's going to do as he pleases.
Have you changed your mind?
Well, yeah. You know, in a heated basketball game, since we're in the Hoosier State, players foul each other sometime in the heat of a political campaign. Sometimes you say things that turn out not to be true. Listen, before I ever endorsed Ted Cruz, before I ever had a conversation with him, I went in the voting booth in Virginia and I voted for him.
When will the basketball pandering stop?
Oh, God.
Like,
oh, God.
JR brought it up during our production meeting, and it was before I had watched the videos, and now I watch the videos, and they're just pandering like crazy.
They can't help it.
I know. Also, look, she, of course, is going to have to try to defend herself and confess that she was wrong about Ted Cruz when she was in the primaries against him. But this isn't a problem or an issue that's unique to Republicans. It happens with Democrats all the time as well, and it drives me crazy. So during the 2008 elections, I remember how vicious Hillary was against Barack Obama. And then all of a sudden, you know, he wins the nomination and she completely changes her tune, and then she becomes the Secretary of State under his administration. And so I remember having a discussion with Cenk about that. And I'm like, how can anyone ever trust politicians, find them credible, believe anything they say, when on one hand, they're completely tearing one another apart, and then once it's convenient for them, lucrative for them, or beneficial for their careers, all of a sudden, the person that they were ripping apart is awesome.
And the other way, I mean, look, Obama famously said Hillary Clinton will say anything and do nothing. Now, I want her in my administration. And by the way, we talked about what Hillary might have needed to get to throw her support behind Obama. And obviously, the Secretary of State position is a good example of that. But somebody sent me a link, and it detailed how she was apparently in negotiations to have him help her to cover her massive campaign debt after she dropped out. And not long after she signed on to support him, he began making phone calls asking for people to donate to help her with her campaign debt. And so that's literally money for her support, like everything else in politics. And so her being called out on her lying before, the reason I like that clip in particular is because of the level of irony there. That she has to now admit, I was just saying whatever I thought I needed to do, And the lie was that he will just say anything he needs to say or do anything he needs to do to win. And so she is, they make a good pair because they're so similar in that way. And you got to at least make up, like, I've learned more about him, I was wrong. She didn't say that. She just said, oh yeah, I was lying, it was the middle of a campaign. That makes you look horrible as you're becoming the VP. But I do want to talk about why he chose her, what the potential benefits of it are. Now, some people have said, okay, having Carly Fiorina as the running mate could give people the impression that he'll do better against Hillary Clinton because there's a woman on the ticket, which is a possibility. Some people would say that the fact that she's from California, he obviously has to defeat Donald Trump in California. So having a Californian who ran a statewide Senate campaign not too long ago could help. That's certainly something. But then I was reading up on it, and I was reminded of the fact that, one, she was the first Republican to really attack Donald Trump because he had mocked her appearance, saying, you know, look at that face, who could vote for a face like that? And so her willingness to attack him is a good sign. Ted Cruz has not generally been very effective when he goes on the attack against Donald Trump, whereas Carly Fiorina, the first time she attacked him, that led to her highest standing in the polls. So maybe they're hoping for a repeat of that.
All the things that you mentioned make complete sense, and I agree with you. But, I mean, what are the chances that he's really going to win the nomination?
Well, he can't win it outright.
He can't win it outright.
He can only stop Donald Trump from getting it until the convention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, look, he doesn't have a chance. I just don't really think he has a chance. And so he can pick his VP. He can go ahead and play patty cakes with the American people and have these ridiculous speeches that mean absolutely nothing. He's not going to be the one up against Hillary Clinton. He's just not. I mean, I hate Trump. I hate Cruz. They're both terrible. I don't know which one I hate more, to be honest with you. I know you hate Trump more, but they're both dangerous individuals.
I dislike them equally. I hate Trump more.
Okay.
But yeah, they're both terrible. Now, there's one other reason that he might have chosen her that doesn't necessarily lead to him getting the nomination, but that is an interesting choice nonetheless. So when was Trump getting attacked the most? When was he doing the worst, theoretically? Many people believe that it was when he attacked Ted Cruz's wife's appearance. It was his anti-woman stuff that led people to really start to question, like, this guy is not a serious guy. He can't run for the presidency. And in the past couple of weeks, people have largely forgotten about all that stuff. And now it's Trump being presidential. So we already know that he can't pass up an opportunity to attack Carly Fiorina's physical appearance. And she is not afraid to attack him. So if he chooses Carly Fiorina and starts sending her like a bulldog after Donald Trump, that provides an opportunity for Donald Trump to let the worst aspects of his personality out. God knows what he is going to say to Carly Fiorina in the next couple weeks.
You hit the nail on the head, but do you really think that Ted Cruz is that smart?
Somebody he's paying.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, he has advisors. He has people working on his campaign that are strategizing and trying to figure out the best way for him to move forward. But you're absolutely right. I mean, Carly Fiorina will certainly attack Trump in any way possible, and Trump can't hold back.
He can't.
I mean, even now, we're going to get to it later on in the show, but he continues to attack Hillary simply for being a woman. He keeps saying that Hillary's playing the woman card, which there's some truth to that, to be honest. But I don't believe that Hillary Clinton's success is only based on her being a woman. That's ridiculous. But if he's willing to just preemptively attack women before they've even said anything negative toward him, well then, I mean, I'm pretty sure that if Carly Fiorina provokes him just a little bit, Donald Trump will lose his mind and attack her in some of the most vicious ways imaginable.